Hey you guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to graph your functions using your graphing calculator, okay? In this course there's a few functions that we're going to be introducing, so you need to be familiar with their names, know their basic shapes, and how to graph them using a graphing calculator, either a TI-83 or an 84. The functions that we're going to go over is the linear function, the square, the quadratic function, the square root, the cube root, the cube, the reciprocal, and the absolute value function, okay? All right, so if you're using a TI-83 or an 84, okay, your calculator interface is gonna look something like mine, okay? So let's graph the linear function first, okay? So your graphing calculator has a graphing button. It's this y equals. This is the area that allows you to type in your function, okay? So in order to type in the function that you would need to graph a linear function, you're going to hit the y equals button, and then you're going to hit your variable button, which is here, okay, next to the alpha button, and it's going to give you your variable. So a linear function is raised to a single power, okay, which is 1, so we don't have to put any exponents or anything. So all we need to put is y equals x, and then we're going to hit this graphing button, which is at the top right-hand corner. When we hit graph, there's our linear function, okay? All right, let's move on. Let's graph the quadratic or the squared function, okay? So I'm gonna go back to y equals, and I'm gonna clear out that function that I just put in there. So I'm gonna hit the clear button, okay? Now I'm going to graph my quadratic function. So in order to do that, I'm in my y equals menu again. I'm going to hit my variable button, x, okay? And I'm gonna raise it to the second power. Now you've got a couple of options when you're doing this. You can either come down here straight down under the second and hit this x squared button, okay? That will square your variable, okay? If you forget to do that, you can always hit x, and then you can hit your caret button, which looks like an upward arrow, okay? And you can put in the power 2. So either way will give you the function that you need. And then you can come up here to the top right-hand corner and you can hit graph, okay? And there's your quadratic function, all right? I'm gonna go back to the y equals menu, okay? I'm going to clear that out, and I'm gonna move on to my square root function, okay? So in order to get my radical, okay, because I need this radical x, okay, I'm going to hit the second button, okay? And I'm gonna come down here and hit the x squared button. Now the reason why I had to hit second first is because anything on my calculator, it's blue, your calculator may be a different color. Anything on my calculator, any word that's in blue, in order to access it, I have to hit the second key first. So that's why I hit second. And then I'm going to hit x squared, and that's gonna give me the radical, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and click my variable button, and that's gonna give me my x. So now I have square root of x, which is what I need, and I'm gonna hit graph. And there is my square root function, okay? All right, I'm gonna go back to the y equals menu, I'm gonna clear that out, and I'm gonna move to my cube root function, okay? Now, in order to get my cube root, you will see that on the face of your calculator, you don't have a cube root button. You're actually gonna have to go to the math catalog. So what you're going to do, you're gonna hit this button here under alpha that says math, okay? And in this menu, you get access to some more buttons that couldn't fit on the face of your calculator. And I'm going to scroll down until I get to number 4. You can either type the number 4 to move quickly through the menu or just scroll. Either one is fine. And that's where I have my cube root. So I'm going to press enter. Okay, so it's put my cube root in my function bar. And then I'm going to go ahead and click my variable button. And that's going to give me the cube root of x. And I'm going to hit graph. Okay, so that's giving me my cube root. All right. So I'm going to go back to my menu, which is y equals, and I'm going to clear that out. And I'm going to move on to my cube function, okay? Now, one thing I want you guys to be careful of is, do you notice the difference? So let me scroll back. All right, do you see how the cube root function extends left and right? And as you go to the cube function, it extends down and upward, okay? When I'm describing these graphs, they look like snakes to me. That's the easiest way to describe them. If ever you were asked to match the graph with its right name, be careful that you do not mix the cube function with the cube root function because they are very similar in shape, except they extend in different directions. So be very careful, okay? All right, so let's go to the cube function. All right, I'm back in my y equals menu, okay? I'm going to hit my variable button, and I need the third power, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this caret button, this upward arrow, okay? And I'm going to type in a 3, okay? And that gives me x cubed. And I'm going to hit graph, okay? And you can see your cube function extends up and down, all right? Okay, let's go back to our y equals menu. Let's clear that out, okay? And let's scroll down. And we're going to type in our reciprocal function, okay? So to do this, I'm going to type in 1, and I'm going to hit divided by, and then I'm going to hit my x button, okay? So that's going to give me 1 divided by x, okay? Another way that you can type this in, so let me put this in y2, okay, is that you can use the fraction button, okay? That gives you a numerator and a denominator. This button is extremely helpful, especially when you get into more complex calculations. So the way that you can access it, you're going to hit this alpha button here that's in green on my calculator. I'm going to hit alpha, and I'm going to hit y equals. What that's going to do, it's going to bring up the function 1 buttons for me. And you will see that this first option has n divided by d. What that's going to do, it's going to set up a fraction for me that has a numerator and a denominator. So when I click enter, okay, it sets up a fraction for you. So you can go ahead and put in 1 over x, okay? So either one of these calculations is correct. I know personally, sometimes I like to see that the way that it's formatted in Y2 better. It just looks like a fraction to me, and I don't have to worry about putting parentheses or things in the right place. So I tend to like this form better, but either one will give you the correct answer, okay? So let me clear this one out. All right, and I'm going to graph 1 over x, and there's my reciprocal function, okay? All right, let's move to my next one, okay? So this is our last one. This is our absolute value function. So I'm going to go to y equals. I'm going to clear that out, okay? So just like you didn't have a cube root button on the face of your calculator, you do not have an absolute value function either, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm back in the y equals menu. What I'm going to do, I need to access the greater catalog, on my calculator. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the second button. Okay, and I'm going to come down here and hit 0. Do you see how catalog, the word is above 0 in blue? I'm going to hit 0, okay? And the first word that you see here, ABS, that stands for absolute, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to hit enter, okay? And you can see now that in my calculator, I have absolute value bars that are in here, okay? Just a side note, if you have a TI-84, you are not going to see the absolute value bars. You may still see the word ABS parentheses. It's going to do the same thing. It's just the 84 has been updated, so they actually have absolute value bars here, okay? And I'm going to put my variable in there. I'm going to hit X, okay? And then I'm going to hit graph. And you can see that's my absolute value function, okay? So these are the main functions that you guys need to be familiar with in this course, okay? So make sure that you not only, as we get to that point, can draw these by hand, but that you can also use your calculator to find them, okay? So since you have this tool, your graphing calculator, make sure that you can use it to its greatest potential, okay? I hope this helps.